Alright guys, Riku on here. Today we are going to be going over what I believe is going to end up being the moveset for Terry Bogard in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Now, one of the big things I do want to put into this is I looked at quite a few of the different Fatal Fury, King of Fighters, even looked at Garo, Mark of the Wolves games, and I've taken video from each one that I believe is important and influential and gave the best versions and the most updated versions, as well as the most true to Terry that I could. As we go into this, there are a couple of big things that I want everyone to know. First of all, with Terry, we'll start with his weight. I think his weight's going to be roughly between 95 and 100, a little bit less than Ken and Ryu. So bear with me, you will hear me talking about Ken and Ryu a little bit throughout this video because there are going to be quite a bit of similarities between the two sets of characters. And along with that, I do also believe that he will have the same auto face his opponent mechanic that Ken and Ryu do have. Now for his run speed, I expect him to be slightly faster than both Ken and Ryu. The reason for this being is because Terry is a much more athletic build. Yes, he is a muscular dude, but at the same time, he also spent a lot of time playing basketball and was inspired with a lot of his moves by basketball. So his run speed, I want to put it at roughly a 1.8, so it's not a huge difference between Ken and Ryu's, which I think is a 1.65 or 1.7. His walk speed, I think, is a 0.85, so slightly faster still. His fast fall speeds and air acceleration I won't be getting into in this video because there's really just no way of knowing how that's going to do. His short hop air time and his full hop air time, though, I think will be roughly about the same as Ken and Ryu's, with the 32 frames for short hop and 40 frames for full hop. I believe he'll also have a maximum of 2 jumps, and he will have a wall jump. Although it is never really shown in any of his games, yet again, due to the idea of a lot of his moves being based off basketball and him having a more athletic and move, kind of like he's the Leon to Chris in Resident Evil. Now, from there, we'll be going over his grounded moves. His jab one, I think, will be very similar to Ken and Ryu's. I also don't doubt that there will probably be multiple variations of his jab one based off of how you tap it. So like, if you do a real quick tap, it's the normal elbow or quick punch. A medium press will be a knee, and a held press will be a full kick. His jab 2, when doing the multi-hit jab combo, I believe it'll go from the normal forward punch to an elbow to gut punch to him kneeing his opponent, dealing light knockback up and away from him. For Terry's forward tilt, I believe it will end up being the bashing sway, where Terry dashes forward with an elbow strike, and that's upon tapping forward tilt. If you're holding forward tilt, I believe it will still do the same move, but it will be followed up by spinning high kick. If you tap it at a far away distance, I think it'll be a quick straight kick, while held far away from an opponent, it'll be a hard spinning back kick with more damage and slightly more knockback. Now when it comes to Terry's up tilt, I believe the rising upper is most likely going to be his up tilt, where Terry crouches, then does a quick uppercut with a light knockback, especially if you only tap it. If you hold the button, it'll just be a stronger, more powerful version of it with slightly more knockback, but also most likely slightly more startup or ending frames. When it comes to Terry's down tilt, I believe Terry's down tilt will be a quick slide across the ground for a tap for short distance, while if you hold it, Terry will do his signature fire kick where he slides, kicks into him, and then follows up with a second attack. Now dash attack, I believe, will be Terry's signature power charge. This does take multiple iterations, so we'll kind of go over the different iterations of it with the videos as well, so we'll be showing you how it functions in Gyro Mark of the Wolves and in King of Fighters 14. For Terry's F Smash, I see it most likely being Crack Shoot, because Crack Shoot typically in the Fatal Fury games is not able to be used in air, although he does go into the air when using it, and it's basically a typical spinning cartwheel kick that's similar to Ridley's Nair. On top of that, I think the last quarter of it will have a weak spiking hitbox, while the final hit of it has a strong spiking hitbox. For Terry's down smash, I believe we'll end up getting Ground Wave, which will function very similarly to Samus's down tilt. For Terry's up smash, I believe his up smash is going to be Power Dunk. Now, this being said as well, I do believe Power Dunk will have a strong spiking hitbox, especially on the final hit of it as well, and a weak one on the downward punch to begin with. So, be expecting to deal kind of like fighting Donkey Kong. You'll end up having a lot of situations where Terry most likely can spike you at medium-high percents. Now, going into Terry's aerial attacks. Terry's Nair, I believe, will be a simple karate chop in front of him where he's kind of tilted forward and he'll be doing the karate chop straight down in front of him. I don't think it will have strong knockback or anything like that. Terry's Fair is going to be very similar to Ken's in my opinion, but the big difference is that it's going to have two hitboxes. One for his punch itself, which is going to be a weaker hitbox, and one for the kick, which is going to be a stronger hitbox. Now, for Terry's Dare, it will most likely resemble Ken's a lot, because they do have the same exact move in the Fatal Fury games as they did in the Street Fighter games. So he will most likely punch straight down, except for Terry's going to have a little bit more reach, and his body's going to be back at more of an angle, so he's less likely to get hit than Ken or Ryu, where being that they're right on top of their fist when they're punching. It will also have a strong spiking hitbox. For Terry's back air, I believe it'll be a swift backwards kick spin, similar to how in Gyro Mark of the Wolves he has a quick spin attack that's a counter attack or avoidance attack. And his up air will be exactly the same as Ken, since they do share that in common with each other from Street Fighter to Fatal Fury. Now, moving on to Terry's special attacks. When it comes to Terry's special attacks, I believe there will be two big factors that play into this. One being command inputs, just like with Ken and Ryu. The second one being a meter mechanic, because meter mechanics are very big throughout the Fatal Fury series, the King of Fighters series, and Gyro Mark of the Wolves. So I would not be surprised if we see these. So for the neutral special, I believe it's what we've already been shown, the Power Wave. The version that we have been shown, though, I believe is just the tapped version. It will also most likely take no bars of his meter. And if it is used in air, it may similarly function to a lot of other fighting moves where it makes a small projectile that heads down at a diagonal angle. I believe the second version will end up being the enhanced Power Wave, which will be like a medium held. It will also take one bar of the special meter, or power meter as it's called, from Fatal Fury, and it is possible that it could have a command input, being that of down quarter circle forward and then B or A. I believe the third version of it will be Power Geyser, which will end up taking 3 bars and will end up requiring you to hold the button and do a button combination of quarter circle forward, B or A. And the final version of it will be Triple Geyser. For the Triple Geyser, the command input I believe will be quarter circle back, down back, forward, plus B or A in order to activate, and it will also use 5 meter charges. Now, when it comes to Terry's side special, this one we've also already seen as well. It is most commonly known as Burn Knuckle. Most people may confuse this with Buster Wolf, which is slightly different, but I believe that will be the final outcome with the meter mechanic added in and command inputs. So starting off with a tap when doing side B, I believe that he'll do the normal Burn Knuckle that we've seen in the reveal trailer. Now, if you end up holding it, it'll go further, have a little bit more knockback, and slightly more damage. Now, that version will end up taking most likely no meter, since in most of the Fatal Fury games, from what I've seen and from what I've played, the enhanced version really doesn't take anything. Now, the King of Fighters games is a little bit different, where it does take a few bars of meter, so there is a possibility of that. But for Buster Wolf, I believe the command input will be 2 quarter circle forwards with B or A. This version goes much further, has a lot more knockback, and then has an extra hitbox at the end with an explosion that possibly breaks shields, kind of similar to how Banjo's side B is in the new game after you fair somebody, or it will do a lot of shield damage. It will probably also have a lot more ending lag as well, so you may not be able to follow up all that well off of it, and most likely won't. For Terry's down special, I believe his down special is going to be kind of unique, and this is something I pulled directly from the Fatal Fury games, where in it you have 2 different lines. You have line 1, which is your normal fighting plane, and then line 2, where Terry can step into the background along with all the other characters from Fatal Fury in order to take and avoid normal attacks, or to come back in for a quick counterattack, although they can be hit by their opponents during this. So I believe that will end up being a counterattack mechanic specific to Terry, where he goes into the background, and when someone attacks him, he gets a counterattack that is very similar to Marth or any of the Fire Emblem characters. I also believe it will have another similar characteristic to that of Ken Ryu, who's down B, where you can cancel it by pressing left or right twice in order to move a short distance in the background to avoid attack. Now for Terry's up special. His up special, I believe, is going to be Rising Tackle, and I think it'll just function like the meter mechanics in Heroes Up B, honestly, because Rising Tackle has 3 different forms. There is a short version, a medium version, and a long version. Where the long version, it goes further, will probably have some super armor on startup, or intangibility frames, one of the 2. I think it will most likely be super armor for a couple of frames at startup. And it will have a much larger hitbox than most up Bs. And it will look very similar to Sheik or Samus's up air, where they're spinning but in an exact upwards direction. Now, moving on to the grabs and the throws. When it comes to the grabs, I think that his normal grab will look pretty well the exact same as Keanu Reeves, where he just reaches out, grabs them, and pulls them in. His pommel, I believe, will end up being Terry kneeing his opponent, as seen in quite a bit of different Fatal Fury or King of Fighter games. His forward throw, I think, will be the grasping upper from Capcom vs. SNK 2, where he grabs the opponent, uppercuts them really quickly, and just sends them back a short distance, so it will have light knockback. I do not expect Terry's throws necessarily to be kill options until higher percents, and I mean high percents. His back throw, I envision it will either be grasping upper again, since that is generally how it's done in the old Fatal Fury games, or it could end up being something like this, where he turns around with the opponent and does a quick back flip kick, launching the opponent backwards. Now for his up throw will be Buster Throw from Capcom vs. SNK 2, where he does throw the opponent just up through the air from over his shoulder. For Terry's down throw, it will also be Buster Throw, but this time it will be the King of Fighters 14 version, where he throws them directly into the ground, which causes a small amount of bounce and can probably be used to follow up into combos. When it comes to Terry's dodges and rolls, his spot dodge, I think, will also be something that looks similar to the down B counter that I mentioned earlier, where he ends up stepping into the background for a short moment, but then steps back in. Terry's forward and back rolls, I see it being the same thing as is shown in most of the Fatal Fury or King of Fighters games, where he rolls forward a short distance. It'll probably be fairly quick and will look something like this. Terry's neutral air dodge, I believe he'll dodge in place by moving into the background facing the screen in a pose kind of similar to the Karate Kid's, but without his leg way up and still keeping his guard up with his hands, so his knee may be bent and it'll look like he's assuming a fighting position. For his air dodge down, it'll just be a small variation upon the neutral air dodge. Same with the diagonally down and the diagonally up and the air dodge ups. Now for his air dodge left and right, I believe it'll end up looking like a quick back step, similar to how you can do in the Fatal Fury games when you're on the ground. Now, moving onward. Terry's final smash is going to be very interesting because there are multiple versions. So we will most likely get another situation kind of like Ken and Ryu's, where based off your distance depends on what final smash Terry does. One of the best known ones that Terry has is his Rising Force, featured in Capcom vs. SNK 2, which looks a little something like this. Now, the Rising Force, I'm not exactly sure if it will be a close or medium one. I would assume that would probably be one of the closer ones, while I think the distance one will probably be the Rising Beat finisher, where Terry quickly comes in, pummels his opponent with a barrage of a lot of attacks to finish it off with a Buster Wolf. But I could be wrong about that, and it end up being the Star Dunk Volcano, which will also be a good possibility for Terry's final smash, where Terry ends up turning his hat backwards, launches into his opponent with a brutal flying knee strike to the gut, which launches the opponent in the air. Then Terry catches the opponent with a power dunk in which a star appears out of his back upon descending and creating a huge geyser upon impact, which surges through the opponent, which launches them airborne as a result. Now, if you have any ideas or any comments you would like to express or let me know about what you think might be slightly different about Terry's movesets, feel free to let me know. I would love to hear y'all's feedback, especially from other fans of the Fatal Fury series. I would also love to hear ideas about what you think his frame data will be, since I really haven't worked any of that out, because that could literally be anywhere, to be honest with you. But I would really appreciate all the feedback to hear what y'all's thoughts and opinions are and what Terry's moveset will be. But I do firmly believe the end-all be-all will be a mixture between command inputs, meter mechanics, and the multi-charge rates of heroes specials, which will make a truly unique character that is not like any other in Smash yet. So if you could, please drop a like, a follow, and share it out to your other friends that are fans of Fatal Fury and Smash Brothers fans, and let me know what y'all think. I appreciate it, much love, and we'll see you again next time.